evening, everyone, and welcome to the first ever episode of Kleiner's Kravenarium, the Prologue, and we would call it episode 1. I am Raz, and I am sitting behind a virtual screen that has no green screen in front of it, so it's going to jump a little bit. I'll try not to make really super fast gestures. Okay, so that was incredibly immature. That's the way we roll here. I wanted to welcome you to the new show. This is based on the system of Vaesen from Free League, and all of our friends at Vaesen. We want to say hello to them and thank them for all their love and support. And we are bringing a new cast to this show, and we are going to be doing it. It's going to be a sort of Eraserhead meets Scooby-Doo, sort of in that Vaesen universe. Vaesen is a system that is built, for those that have never played it or don't know it, on D6s. So when I ask the characters or myself to make a roll, it'll always be with a certain number of D6s based on their traits and their skills. We'll be added together, and they'll roll that amount, looking for 6s only. The number of successes, the more of them, the more 6s they roll, the better. If they roll no 6s, then terrible things begin to happen. That's pretty much it. Initiative, as we go forward, you'll see me draw cards for the characters. That will tell us what initiative order they're in as we get into gameplay. But for tonight, it's very simple. We're going to talk about the characters, how they came to be part of Kleiners, what they look like, what their stage show is, and generally the information that you need as listeners to go forward when you watch episode 1 coming out in about a week. So let's first introduce our cast. Longtime Bardic College member and a friend of mine for many, many years. First, I'd like to introduce Joel. Joel, how are you tonight?
Oh, I'm fine. Thanks. Thanks for having me. It's great to be on your show.
Thanks for having.
First time caller, long time listener.
Yes, I don't think I've had you since high school. So let's just get that out there now.
In my defense, I was drunk.
In my defense, I wasn't. The situation that occurred, of course, though, that's just the way it is. We'll get back to characters in a minute, but I want to say hello to everybody else. Lauren is here tonight. Lauren has played such characters as Catherine Ross, who is probably the most beloved member of our Cthulhu and Cairo team. Definitely nurturing, caring, warm. Lauren's hoping to bring that same energy here to this show. How are you tonight, Lauren?
I'm ecstatic. I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this show so much. So excited to play something new.
Yeah, I'm very interested in getting into this world. Since Kleiners, I mean, gosh, for those who have been talking with me and just sort of bouncing ideas, this has been like 8 months. We've been talking about how we wanted to set this up and go about doing it, and now it's finally here, and I'm just stoked. So glad to have you here as always. And also a longtime Bardic College member, Melinda Ballard. Mel, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great.
My best friend.
Thank you.
Yes. And
I'm doing great.
Back again. So I guess if people that don't know, Cthulhu and Cairo was the show that we started all this with. And in there, you were abused for roughly 36 months, like a hostage. So the Stockholm Syndrome effect now plays out.
Real.
It's a real thing.
So here.
It is. I mean, nobody ever returns for a Saw movie that I know of except the clown. So this is really nice that we get to do this more than once together.
I'm really hoping I don't get my ass kicked as much in this.
Right.
But time will tell. I'm not putting anything out there. I don't want to jinx it.
The universe is too dangerous. I wouldn't do that.
It really is.
And the new cast that we're so happy to have here. I've had the great fortune of serving under this lady on her ship in Traveler, bringing my mother's skull with me when I did it, and some very stale produce. Known as Queen Bee in the Lurking Fears community, and if you don't know what that is, look them up on Facebook. They are a great group of GMs that do all the cons in the big ones that are coming around East Coast and mid Central United States. Betty, how are you tonight?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I think, unless Chris has it hidden, Betty's the only one wearing her Kleiners shirt. Is that right?
No.
Oh, Chris has it on too. Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
the new people.
There we go.
Bonus points.
Not only bonus points. Joel's like, I'm rocking Poltergeist. That, you know what, Joel? That would have counted maybe 6 months ago, but tonight. You gotta give where the props where they go. So
I have the original Bardic College logo on my vision board back there. Does that count for something?
Yeah, it means that Mel's gonna get her ass kicked. Because no, I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying any merch, Mel.
I have to go.
It's Mel for dressing nice. Where's your damn T-shirt, Mel?
There's no shaming here. We don't do that.
No.
There's
That's
no
not
shaming.
shaming. That's just
Maybe
reality.
Mel has to do laundry really, really, really bad.
Really bad.
Have we thought about that?
Before I get to our last member, I can tell you that this background, unless I really green screen it, does not do anything for my taupey colored hair, which now looks like I have some sort of this is not the right color. So viewers, this won't happen again. This is horrible. But for tonight we'll be okay. And last but not least, by any stretch of imagination, the other half of Betty and Chris is Chris. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Excellent. So thankful to have you guys make the time to do this with us. We really appreciate it. You guys busy schedules, and especially with working with Free League and with Lurking Fears.
Yep.
I can't. When you guys said you were willing to do it, I was jumping up and down. So that's truly that's honest. So thank you very much, both of you. All right. So one of the things is each character has an advantage, and the character that Chris is playing actually gets to draw 2 different initiative cards when we go for things and pick the one he wants. So we're going to start out by assigning initiative to everyone. We're going to go from the top of the screen down, and it starts with Lauren. And Lauren, when we go, your number will be. Lauren will go last. Okay. Betty. Wow, big numbers. Okay. Chris.
I'll take the 8, please.
There you go. I'll take the 8. I'll take the 8.
I'll take the 8 for
Take the 8.
200.
Mel, I'm
Mel.
sorry.
Boo. Oh wait.
6.
Boo. No, turn it back around.
No. And that makes Joel.
Fine.
These are really shuffled poorly. Anyway, so we're going to go right up the grid as we go. So starting with Joel. Joel, let's talk a little bit about your character, Cyrus Boone. What age is Cyrus? What can you start telling us a little bit about Cyrus?
Cyrus Boone is a loyal Georgia patriot and lifelong cavalryman. He is 37 years old, or roughly middle age as far as the game goes. He's extremely tall, stands a little bit above 6'5", incredibly lanky, almost painfully so. He dresses in like a morning coat and a top hat, but still wears his cavalry pants and his cavalry boots, and has a complement of a saber and a bullwhip, which he uses to affect the crowd by whipping above their heads while announcing shows.
Wow. Okay, so that's rather intimidating. Okay, so that's interesting. That's an interesting way of doing it. Now, we know that Cyrus, being the age he is, he came, like most of the team, through a seance at the ritual headquarters for the society. But what drew him to Kleiner's? Because Kleiner looks for very special, certain type of people. How did he hear about it, or how did Cyrus find out about the Kleiner circus, and what prompted him to try to join?
Well, Boone was one of those right place, right time kind of people, having come across the Kravenarium in his travels after leaving the United States after the death of his wife and daughter, and was spotted by basically like a tent hand who noticed his rather bizarre visions. He suffers from extreme psoriasis and flaking of the skin, extreme plaques, and to cover this up, he puts basically actors' paint on his face, plaster on his face, thinking that it makes him look better. It actually makes him look quite frightening and a little creepy. And he was pointed out as saying, like, you could be perfect for this show. You could be like the human Snake Man. Do you flake everywhere? And so he said, yeah, sure, I do. And so he was sort of brought around as someone that might be good for part of the show. His natural acerbic nature seemed to work well for the Barker idea, and his strange persona, his clothing. And so he was asked if he was interested in joining. And after traveling for so long alone and wandering after the death of his family, he sort of searched for some sort of a home where he may not be considered freakish. And Kleiner seemed as good as any.
Excellent. All right. So your act, I know that you're the Hawkers. So are you associated with any other act in the show, or are you pretty much
essentially he's like a minor sideshow person as well. You'll have those people as you're walking towards the big shows, like the bearded lady, those sort of things. So they sort of badged him as the human Snake Man because of the plaques of skin, and he'll dress in like a singlet that's painted like a snake, and stand on stage and basically just interact with the people as they're waiting in line. Telling him how he can shed his entire skin in a day like a snake and have the skin of a beautiful babe the next day. But essentially just like sort of the small working your way to the main stage. He's not a main stage sort of guy. His primary deal is to bark the bigger shows.
Okay. All right. And so off mic, off camera, when we created the characters, one of the things that characters have is an item of interest. What is your item of interest?
So Boone carries around in a small container a milk snake he named Daisy that he must handle once a day, or he will actually end up shedding his entire body like a snake skin in a 24-hour period.
Okay.
He's very close to Daisy. She's never without him and always in one of his coat pockets. Okay.
All right. So that's fabulous. Now, when you say she has to be, that he has to work with her,
He has to handle her for approximately a half an hour a night. Something magical about her skin and the interaction between him and the snake that helps soothe the affliction, so that he merely suffers from the plaques and the flaking skin rather than actually shedding all of his skin.
Okay. That's excellent. All right. So let's talk about these characters that we've created, right? They're part of a very big circus freak show. And before I go into this part of it, I want to say for any viewer, this is not to be an exploitive show. One of the things we're doing is we're honoring the time period of the Victoriana when freak shows, by using the expression freak and circus performers were just, this was how they were able to survive. They found community. They were able to survive and make coin this way. Otherwise, they would have been really ostracized. In some cases, possibly even abandoned as children. It was these communities. When you read some of these histories of the circus performers from Barnum and Bailey all the way through Europe, I'm not going to say they lived charmed lives. It was pretty sad stuff at times. But they always said that finding a community and having that time to play the graft or do something in a circus at least gave them a sense of belonging and a sense of employment so that they could afford the basic parts of life and its necessities. So when we go through this, we're not trying to heighten the exploitation of them or make it, be unsensitive. We're trying to just use this as part of the mystery of what Vaesen stands for. But that being said, Joel, fears. Everyone has one. Besides sunscreen, what is Cyrus Boone's?
Cyrus suffers from an extreme loss of control and ineffectiveness. He was affected in his life by his horse was shot from under him and fell on top of his leg, and he couldn't move, and actually had the misfortune of watching dead rise off the battlefield and then consume his horse in front of him while he could do literally nothing to escape. And because of this, he has an undying and mortal fear of not being able to control a situation, and also an inability to believe the dead are actually dead. He feels they're essentially just pining and waiting to come back. So it is sort of this quiet, almost debilitating effect that he has.
Okay, wow, very interesting. And anything else you want to add for the viewers going into show 1 next week? Anything else they should be looking for with Cyrus Boone?
He's a very irascible man. He is constantly smoking a cigar. It is always in his mouth. He's always chewing on one. His clothes reek of stale cigar smoke. He is addicted horribly to laudanum from an injury that he suffered in his leg that left him addicted to it. It's like a private shame. He covers his shames and his weaknesses by being mean and vicious. However, he does have an extreme affection and protective nature towards Mercy, who reminds him of his dear departed daughter. And so in a world where he really wasn't treated very well for much of it and isn't exactly the nicest person in the world, she is someone that he would do absolutely anything for to protect.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So Cyrus Boone, as we go through these characters, if you'd like to talk about them on the Facebook page that is now changed over, if you were a Cthulhu and Power listener, it's now showing as Kleiner's Kravenarium, which is always our biggest project. We try to use that as our banner. Talk about Cyrus Boone, or you can ask Joel any questions and he'll try to answer them for you, but not too much because we want to save some of it for the show. So just barely if you have a simple thing or something you'd like cleared up as we go into it, we'll be more than glad to do that for you. Mel, I believe your initiative was the next highest going up. So how are you tonight? You said you were doing well. Tell us a little bit about your character, her age, and what we have in store for us with her.
Sure. So I'm playing Sophie Devereaux. She is a 25-year-old young woman hailing originally from New York, but later in life she moved to Paris. And she is the circus's contortionist and dancer. That is, she is a classically trained ballerina.
All right. And how did she? So again, we know that because she was recruited in the last, so many years due to her age. What drew her to Kleiners? What was the thing that got her to make the journey all the way to Uppsala and then face the seance that would have been necessary in order to join Kleiner's Kravenarium?
So Sophie's family, the Devereaux line of women, are all cursed to never live past the age of 40. Not necessarily dying on their 40th birthday, but in their 40th year, that's when they go. Her line was cursed a long time ago by a witch who one of her ancestors turned them in, gave her up. And the witch said, no one in your line will live longer than me. And the witch was 40. So Sophie is terrified of that. And that's her number one fear, is death. She's terrified of dying. And she joined the circus around the time that her mother would have turned 40. So she joined when she was 20. And that would have been her mother's 40th year. So she left before she turned because, one, she didn't want to see whatever was going to happen, because sometimes it is of just, disease or heart attack, but other times it's something a little bit more tragic. One of her aunts drowned. Another one was run over by a runaway carriage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. So let's talk about Sophie's act. What is the stage setting? What does it look like? What does she do on stage? What does she, she's a contortionist. Does she just come out of boxes? Does she go into smaller boxes? What does she do?
No, so she, her act, she goes by Antoinette the Marionette when she is on stage. She comes out like a marionette doll attached to string, dressed as a very delicate looking ballerina, and she starts, the audience is going to look and be like, well, this seems very normal. It's just a dancer. And then that's when she starts contorting and folding herself in on herself, and, not ways that a normal person would move. And then the act ends by she folds herself into what is essentially looks like a music box. Obviously not as small as a music box, but a pretty small box. Sophie is a very small woman. She's only about maybe 5'2". She's very skinny. Think built very much like a dancer. She's very slim, very delicate looking, but she's also got like the toned, muscular what have you that you need when you're a dancer. Right. So then she folds herself into her box, and then her box is swept off the stage.
Nice. Any cast members that Sophie is close to?
Yes. So Yasina, who is Betty's character, they work together. I'm not going to say why yet, because I'm going to let Betty talk about her stuff, but they work pretty closely together. So she's close with them. And then Chris, please forgive me, I forget what your character's name.
Steiner.
She is also close with Steiner for reasons that I'm sure that he will get into. I don't want to steal everybody's thunder.
No, of course not. I appreciate it, and I'm sure they appreciate that. I'm surprised it's not Cyrus, because he sheds skin and smells like old steel cigars. So it's shocking that you're really not as close to Steiner as me. I mean, as close to Cyrus as you are like somebody who bathes.
I was also just as shocked, but it's friendships develop so naturally, and I'm scared of his skin.
Right. Plus the whip, the bullwhip that he cracks over people's head, like, get me water, woman.
She is a desirous young maiden that I love from afar.
Sophie's across going,
if only to hold her in her box just once.
When I say I want to nail the lid down, I don't think it means exactly what I was trying to say.
I shall bring the hammer.
And on that note, I will be locking myself in my box and patiently waiting for my 40th birthday.
I'll push the box off the stage.
Someone,
Get your box off that stage.
no, Cyrus, we can push it off without your help. Thank you.
I got it.
So what is Sophie's item of interest?
So Sophie's item of interest is an ornate pipe which she inherited from her father. Her father passed away when she was 13 years old. He was a lot older than her mother, as that happened back then. But she was very close with her father. He was, not always present, but when he was there, he was very doting, very caring, and she always remembered him coming home, smoking the pipe in front of the fireplace. So she has that. She keeps it on her because it grounds her and it keeps her close to home.
Okay, excellent. Fears, everybody has them. Besides Cyrus, what are some of Sophie's?
Like I said, she's terrified of death. Just any kind of, if any situation looks like it's going to go south, she might get a little bit panicky, like, nope, not how I want to go. Not my time yet. So she's not really afraid of, I think that she's not afraid of too much. I think that death is what really bothers her. And that's a huge one.
Sure. That makes perfect sense. Which, listen, everybody has that fear anyway, but for her, having an actual countdown. So let's go into one more thing. With the countdown, can the viewers be prepared that Sophie's going to be like, is she almost, she has a fear of death. So that means she's not like a party person going, well, the end is coming, so I might as well live it up. Or is she like, does she huddle in the corner or totally afraid for the moment that's just looming over her shoulder?
I would say that Sophie is young enough where she's trying to not think too seriously about it. It's always something that's going to loom in the back of her mind, but she tries not to be serious. Okay. She tries to just kind of be not like carefree in a way that's dangerous, like going out and partying, drinking, like doing crazy stuff, like jumping off a roof, like no. But just kind of being a little bit carefree, a little wild, but in a safe way.
Okay. So. All right. And is there any other bits of flavor that you want to add to this before we move on for Sophie and it's Sophie Devereaux. I'm sorry, yes. Sophie Devereaux. I spelled it wrong. Devereaux. Yeah.
That is okay. No, we're just going to see sort of how she plays out in the campaign. I'm excited.
Yeah, so are we. All right, great. So that's Sophie Devereaux, the Antoinette the Marionette. And we'll find out more about her when we get to Miss Yasina or Betty. But next in line, I believe, Chris, you were our number 8 when we drew our cards. So tell us a little bit about your character and his general age and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So Steinar Broom. Steinar is 40 years old. He's a taller man, not nearly as tall as Cyrus, but he stands about 6 foot and has a slight paunch to him. The curse of middle age. He's very well kept with a graying beard and a full head of graying hair as well. He's really proud of that. And he generally casts a diminutive presence. He likes to walk slightly stooped over, kind of as if he were hiding. And he tends to wear larger hats in an American style, even though he's Norwegian. And it tends to hide his face a lot. So. Okay.
And again, being that he's only 40, Kleiner's been dead for about 30 years, so he would have been very young. But he had a military background as well, right? So he came to Kleiner's a little bit later in life?
I did. I don't talk anything about my military background.
Okay, so we'll
keep that behind. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine for now. But Kleiner's was the perfect opportunity for me. Kleiner's roams, so it was, it was exactly what I was looking for. I actually sought out a circus, not only for the anonymity, but the travel to sort of stay on the move from my past. We had that seance, and I just kind of figured it was a con, like so many other parts of the circus. Even though I have seen some unusual things since my, we'll say, original sin.
Ooh. Okay, interesting. What's your act? So, what does Steinar do actually for the circus? What is his?
He's a sideshow presentation. Yeah, so it's Steinar's shot. Okay, I have the ability to never miss, twice a day. All right. So my show, it's a marksman. It's a trick shot sort of show, and generally, depending upon the audience and depending upon where we are, I'll display some competent marksmanship for a while and kind of let the bullets fly where they may. reel the audience in. And when it appears that they're either checked out or they think that I'm some sort of fraud, I'll set up the last impossible shot. And at that point, if the audience is particularly ornery, I'll have them place bets against me, which I always win. So that's
Nice.
it's landed me in hot water a few times, but it's a good source of income.
Interesting. Okay, so we have that to look forward to. I mean, and again, based on his background, that we're not going to go too deep into at the moment. He's already, an accomplished shot, but he's also,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
excellent.
So ex-military, but we don't talk about that.
But we don't talk about that. Cast members that you particularly are close to, or ones that you aren't.
Well, yeah. So there we are. So I'm not particularly close to any of them besides Sophie, and really, I'm paternalistic. So a few folks have even said patronizing, maybe. But I find Sophie especially to be so very talented, and I want to help to nurture that and to help her grow and to see where she can go with that. So the rest, Cyrus, I feel very familiar with. I don't talk about why. I'm quite dismissive of Yesenia. I just find her strange, a little off-putting, and I'm more patronizing towards Lauren's character. I'm sorry I didn't write that down yet.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say, and I just downright don't like Mercy. I didn't say
that. Patronizing is the word I'm looking for. So, yeah.
And I downright find her
Like, can I just say, take a 2-second thing. The word paternalistic was used to describe the 25-year-old. I'm a literal child.
Okay, yeah, but
Hey,
when you go into describing to the audience what you're like, they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty
no,
egalitarian too. Just because you look like a child doesn't mean you act like a child. I'm just
right.
That is true.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going up and asking for a Boilermaker at the bar while you're standing on the stool, that doesn't always mean that you're a child. It just means that you're just short. All right.
Forgive me. So, I had to.
No. It's perfectly fine. So
all the love, Chris.
Yeah.
What is Steiner's item then? What is his item, and how did you come across it, or what interesting things can you tell us about?
Steiner has two. The first one is I do have some sheet music. It's a regimental march, and wherever we stay, whenever I switch, wherever I'm staying, it's always on the wall, right? And at my lowest moments, I will sit and sort of pine at it. The other is a small regimental medal, and I don't talk about that very often, but that's my lucky charm. So right before I take a trick shot, I have to rub that. And as long as I've done it, at least, as long as I haven't done it twice already, I'll never miss. So
excellent. Really? Okay, that's brilliant. The fear. So everyone has them. What are Steinar's? Or what
public places being found. So yeah, I can really never go home, so I don't talk about home much. Kleiner's is now my home, and I've accepted that. So I get nervous in crowded public places, and the crowds of the circus. I don't get under the big tent, so I make sure that everything I do stays on the sideshow. So.
All right. So you're mostly outdoors. You're doing the trick like an Annie Oakley type.
Yeah, I'd have to be, otherwise I'd be shooting through tents, right?
Yeah, of course. All right. And any other little bit of flavor you wish to add? May I ask a question of Steiner?
Yeah.
He can't go home. Did he leave people behind?
Yes.
Okay.
He left. That's his original sin. He left something.
Okay.
He left people behind. We'll just leave it at that for now.
Yep, absolutely. And any other bits of flavor you want to share with us?
No. I'm looking forward to playing him.
Oh, I can't wait. This is going to be. The personality that we discussed off camera when we first were making characters, and that sort of quasi session 0 was really fun, and it sounded like it was going to be a lot of good times. Yep. So all right. So Betty, give us the character's name and tell us a little bit about her and her age, please.
All right. So I will be playing Yesenia Popa, and Yesenia is about 22 years old. So Yesenia grew up with her grandmother in a really remote area in northern England, outside of pretty far outside of any village. She's dresses pretty simple. She's got medium length black hair, but she usually keeps it tucked beneath a colorful bandana. She wears kind of simple home zone clothes with a deep red skirt that looks like it's made with lots of different fabric clippings, almost like somebody tore sheets apart and sewed them together.
Okay.
And she is, so she found Kleiners. Well, I'll let you ask the questions, but anyway, so that's what she looks like.
So that's why we do session zeros.
Yeah.
My laptop was fully charged. This is burning a lot of power. I had to plug it in. So we won't ever make that mistake again. Most viewers, I'm normally on a home computer. I am away doing this, which is why my sound a little different from the Cairo show. I apologize, but we got that back, and hopefully we'll be able to test out this remote recording and make sure it didn't happen for everybody to witness. That was dumb on my part. Okay, so what's your special skill? What does Yesenia do, and what is her part in the show, and how does she represent her gifts at the Kleiners Carnival?
All right, so Yesenia's special gift is that she has 4 puppets that she can inhabit and control. Now, when she does that, she goes completely unconscious. So she better have somebody close by.
Right.
But she has always been able to do this for as long as she can remember. And she's always had these puppets around. So she works in 2 acts. She's kind of an accomplice in Sophie's act. One of my marionettes is the girl who comes out on stage and performs alongside of Sophie in her act. And then I have 3 other marionettes. There's the girl, and there is an old lady puppet, Miss Baba, and then there is a handsome, roguish archer named Robin. And we put on Yesenia's beautiful stories for ugly children. And sometimes Mercy stops by.
Wait, when you said ugly child, that's not acceptable.
Whoa!
Wow.
I'm not calling you ugly. You just
Beautiful stories from ugly children. That would have been hard.
Yeah.
All
Wow.
the smack.
No, that's why you never want to go last in these things. It's always like, oh damn, I got first. No, first you're done. Now you're out of the way. Yeah. All right. So the whole idea of beautiful stories for ugly children, the tent. I'm sure it's very lavish. We'll get into more of that as we go. But what cast members are you close to? Obviously, Sophie, you're part of her act. Is there anybody else that you've already established a relationship with your time at Kleiners?
Yes. So the very first cast member that I met was Chris's character, Steiner. We came across we actually met on the road to Kleiners. So I had to leave. My grandmother, who had raised me, died, and after she died, there was a group of angry people that came and set the house on fire. So I had to get out really quickly and grab my marionettes. And I remembered stories that my grandmother used to tell me of a beautiful traveling circus and all of the wonderful people that were in it. And I left in search of it, and I came across Chris's character.
So when you were looking for the beautiful circus, were you disappointed when you finally got accepted at Kleiners? Because
What's with the burlap tent?
I know, right?
Come,
the
look
really
at our
nice
squalor.
circus. And the really nice circus wasn't hiring, so I hooked up with these bastards. I mean,
I couldn't find it, so I had to settle.
Right. I heard about this great place in America called Barnum, and I wasn't able to get there. The boats were full. So yes, Kleiner's is a circus that had seen its better days many years ago, but it is still very well known. There are articles that we'll be releasing on our Facebook page about Kleiner's in what used to be its glory versus now, and some of the things but these special acts that they've been able to recruit over the last couple of years are hoping to bolster the attendance and get Kleiner's back as a legitimate 5-star circus. Right now, they're probably like a 2.5. What is your item of interest? Do you have one besides the marionettes, or is it the marionettes?
So I do have another item besides my marionettes. So I have I have an insurance policy, we'll call it, of a retirement plan that one of my marionettes happened to secure for me. So really won't go into that, but if all else fails and I need to find a way to survive, I've got a backup plan.
So they're industrious.
Yeah, they are.
They're special people. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Okay, and fears. What is Yesenia's fear? What keeps her up at night when she can't sleep?
So it's really funny, besides the obvious one of fire, because, her house was being burned down while she was in it. Right. She actually has a fear of being alone because she's never been alone. She has always had her marionettes. Not all of them, but she's always had marionettes as long as she can remember.
Interesting. Okay, so fear of alone. I like that. That's good stuff. All right, and any other flavor that you'd like to add about Yesenia or any of the marionettes themselves, or something special maybe that you want, a quick story you want to share about them, or anything that might give the viewer or another reason to be super excited about her, which she's already exciting to me, but anything else you'd like to add?
Sure. I can give you a little description of the marionettes if you want. So there's the girl. So the girl has got stringy black hair that falls over her eyes, and she dresses in all black, and she's got a frown on her face, and she doesn't talk a lot. She wears, she's kind of stooped over. Then there's Willie, who kind of looks like a goat man. But Willie just wants to be everybody's friend. But kids don't like him because he's ugly and scary and he looks like a monster, but he really just wants to be your friend. And then there's Robin, and Robin is brave and bold and loves the ladies. And he's always wanting to be a hero. And then there's Miss Baba, and Miss Baba is the wise old woman who is just looking out for Yesenia.
Okay. I'd like to congratulate my longtime friend and associate, Joel, for not saying that children are frightened by Willie, but Willie wants to be their friend. I just would like to back that up and say thank you for not going down that road, because I know I felt it and thought it, and I know you did too. So because we're sophomoric and we're childish. So
I'm working hard to be an adult in this scenario.
Well, thank you for holding up your side. I didn't. All right, so that's excellent. So we have Yesenia and her magic marionettes. And last but not least, obviously the longest member with Kleiners. We're not even going to probably not be able to explain exactly why she's so long with them, but Lauren playing Mercy Clark. Lauren, how old is Mercy, or how old do we think Mercy is?
So Mercy looks like a 14-year-old girl. Mercy is 187.
Okay. So,
and we're just gonna,
yeah. Just leave it there.
I'm gonna
so even
really,
when she looks at Steinar, she's like youngins.
Yes. We're gonna get into that, but I want to leave some of it for gameplay. And
okay.
dear viewers, dear listeners, none of the cast members will know anything about Mercy's backstory. So what you see It's kind of what you get with Mercy. Everyone's gonna assume and think, because what else could she be except this young child? So what you guys are about to learn is just information between me and you and the players, but the other characters will have absolutely no idea.
All right. Okay. So let's talk about her general appearance, because that I don't think we can. I don't think she can hide that. Obviously,
no.
She's 14 and
blind.
Blind. Excellent.
So,
okay.
Mercy, her most noticeable feature is that she is blind. Her eyes, they do have that, they're that bright, almost opalescent blue, yet clouded. Her eyes almost kind of look like marbles. So it's kind of the first thing you see about her, because the rest of her appearance is pretty normal. It's pretty subdued. She looks like just your completely average, slight of build, not too tall, not too short, brown hair in a braid down her back. She dresses in like somber colors, very demure, almost conservative, a little out of place. But when you meet her personality and you start talking to her, it's like, oh, this makes sense. Like she's not like vibrant and fun and crazy. Also, she's blind. What does fashion matter? What does it matter what color my socks are? I can't see them. Right. So very utilitarian. Okay. in her appearance. Yeah.
She's the only. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh. Her features, because she is like young woman frozen in time, she may have been pretty. She may not have been. Hard to tell. Literally in a crowd, you'd miss her. Just except for the fact, blind kid, you'd gloss right over her.
Right. I mean, you were stepping over her if she fell. Other than that, nobody would really notice she did.
That and the white marble eyes, right? The freak out eyes that make people go, Jesus.
Right.
Except for those, like you'd never, think twice.
She's got blueberry milk peepers. We really we don't want to. She looks like the bowl of blueberry after you had the cereal. It's just sitting there looking at you back. It's like, that's Mercy Eye right there. Don't eat that. That's Mercy Eye.
What the heck?
Right. Okay. So you are the only one who's actually known Kleiner when he was still breathing on this plane of existence and alive.
Yeah.
So how did you come to the circus?
So Mercy is originally from Massachusetts. Her father was a minister and a teacher. And after a certain little incident in Massachusetts in the 1690s, her family decided, wow, we probably should leave. Things are getting a little wild out here. We sought religious freedoms. This ain't it. Back to England we go. And Mercy has two older siblings, Mary and Thomas. And one day they decided to break the rules a little bit and try to give their younger sister a very nice day out. So they brought her to Kleiner's and they took her to the circus.
Okay.
And that is how Mercy met Kleiner and became aware of him.
All right. And she joined not too long after that?
And would eventually come to join the circus, yeah.
All right. Let's talk briefly about her act. Besides putting her on stage, spinning her around, and asking her not to hit the edge and fall down, what is the general act that Mercy's able to?
Look at her go, folks.
So Mercy's act, she is known as the font of human knowledge. I know everything. Ask me any question, I'll give you the answer. And so her stage is set up with it looks like just an empty stage with a single spotlight, and there's a rickety old trapdoor that's hidden from the audience, obviously, but someone under the stage is slowly cranking up the trapdoor, and she rises up, sitting on a stool, into the light. And Cyrus Boone, my barker, is in the audience, and he starts getting people excited. Like, this is Mercy, the font of all human knowledge, smartest girl in the world, bullwhipping, Ask her anything. And Cyrus gets all the crowd work going for me, and then ask me anything. Math questions, history questions. Should I leave my wife? I'll let you know.
Right. So the first question I can guarantee you that's going to come out of the audience if we would play this out on the show will be, how do we get the tall man to stop cracking the whip at us? I think that will be the first question that will be asked, because that's a frightening... dude, I am so frightened to think that I'm standing there with a candied apple and you're cracking this thing over my head like Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman. Just... it's scaring it's intimidating. I love it. It's fascinating. All right, so Mercy, you have you're like an encyclopedia of knowledge, like that kind of thing. And who are some of the cast members that? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Should I go into because we've talked about it, like the why that she has this encyclopedic knowledge?
That's entirely up to you right now. I mean, if you want to hold that back, that's fine. We can wait. That'll come out in the show.
Okay. I think I'd like to let it come out in the show if that's cool.
Let's do that. Okay, so then we'll go on to the next question. What cast members or which cast members are you close to or not close to?
So Mercy is she's very religious. She's very like somber, and she's almost used to being ignored. And she's had to keep a lot of secrets throughout the course of her long life. So she isn't close to a lot of people. However, the big guy in the hat with the bullwhip is really nice to me. And, you know, he sees her as what she looks like, this 14-year-old girl, and he helps her out. He protects her. Cyrus, like, brings her into town to, you know, go to the shops, to, you know, go to restaurants, and, you know, to just, like, walk around and experience life so she's not sitting around, you know, in her tent doing nothing. And he shows great kindness to her. And she sees a lot of sadness in him. And, you know, and even though they are close, she hasn't yet let it slip that, no, I could actually be your grandmother. But yeah, no, I'm just going to keep this pretense up because it seems to make you feel better.
So she's close to him. Any she's not close to, or others she is close to?
Everybody else, it's, you know, they kind of give her like, they don't know what to do with her. They kind of give her like a wide berth, and that's okay. She's used to it.
So with Cyrus Boone, she's sort of like a babyface finster. She doesn't really. You're not supposed to know she's much older, but she looks younger and she's acting younger. Okay.
I'm not sure of the reference, but sure.
Well, that's just showing my age.
No one has caught her in the bathroom shaving.
Right.
Babyface finster.
What the heck?
I suggest you Bugs Bunny babyface finster and see it. It'll make perfect sense.
Okay.
Classic.
All right.
So what is your item of interest? What is Mercy's item of interest, and how did she come by it?
So Mercy has a touch of the morbid about her. And because she's had this very long, seemingly like unexplainable, like long life, like why have I been blessed with this? Her family's very religious. Why haven't I been, you know, brought to heaven to see my family? Like, why has God kept me on this earth for so long? She does have a touch of morbid, and, you know, she does think about death, but unlike some of the other cast members, she doesn't fear it. So she actually keeps a small envelope with her in her pack with detailing her funeral plans. So on the day that I go, I want it played out just like this. She sat down with an artist and described what she wanted on her headstone. The artist kind of just went, okay. Handed her basically a piece of paper with a scribble on it. But she has all these plans for the day that she eventually leaves this mortal coil, what that day will look like and how she wants to be remembered.
Okay. And any fears?
Mercy is terrified of water. Like, so because she lives her life not being able to see, and she has to feel her way around if she doesn't have someone helping her, the idea of water, it's big, it's quiet, I can't hear very well, it's nothingness. Which way's up, which way's down? It's so easy to get lost and turned around in water and to just be overwhelmed by it. She was never taught to swim, and it's just something that absolutely terrifies her.
Makes sense. And that's brilliant, because I've actually, as a storyteller, you try to put yourself into as many roles as possible. and try to understand the dynamic of the character and its motivations. It never really dawned on me how terrifying it is for blind people, which is funny because I take my glasses off. I am blind and I fear water, but I never associated it with anybody else who would be 100% blind. Like my dog is good enough to get me out of the bay if I go in, but that's about it. Like I can, I have my cane, but it's terrifying. Yeah, but blindness and water, not a good mix. Anything else before we wrap up tonight with character prologues about Mercy that you would like the viewers to know?
I think that's it. I think
For tonight, that's it.
For tonight, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so viewers, welcome to Kleiner's Kravenarium. You have just met the main key acts. There are others. There are NPCs that I'll be portraying that will be used. This is a band of investigators. They have joined Kleiners, and the ultimate goal is to take on the Vaesen. Vaesen are these mystical creatures that have decided to make a stand for different various reasons against sometimes human settlements, sometimes human encroachment into magical and special sacred places. But whatever the reason is, Vaesen their time is fading, and they don't want to go lightly. They're fighting to try to recapture the mysticism of the failing Victorian era. As industrialism blossoms, Vaesen feel like they're being threatened more and more yet again. So it's got that very much last-ditch push effort of trying to, in this world, fix the problems and slow mankind down from ever expanding onward. These characters are going to be called in to solve and help whenever possible, mitigate that damage, or in some cases, remove the Vaesen from an area. You can't kill a Vaesen. There's no destruction. There is only banishment for a period of time where while banished, they may dwindle or diminish a little, but a Vaesen is truly never gone. Like a lake spirit, it's there. It just may not be worshipped properly, so it gets smaller and smaller. But hopefully, as far as they know, a Vaesen can't be killed. Players, thank you so much for tonight. Viewers, get ready. We are 1 week from kicking off the exciting part of the show. These are going to be 4 to 6 episode vignettes. Then we'll move on to a new town, a new monster, a new situations, more research, a lot of role playing that Vaesen sets up. Just constant interactions between players and investigations and NPCs. So you're going to hear a lot of conversation, a lot of great voice work. And that's from these very talented people here with me. So from all of us here at the Bardic College and our first ever Kleiner's Kravenarium, I want to say thank you, players. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. And we will see you in 1 week. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Great.